Hey, it's James, Father's Rights and Resources, hashtag how I got custody. Here's something that nobody that I know of is talking about or doing for you. Now, I've talked to you guys about different groups that are out there. I talked to you about that one lady, like the Family Corner or something like that, Family Court Corner or whatever. Lady charges $250 an hour for consultations. And I'm sure she knows how to write legal briefs or put stuff together in an organized fashion. She's got an app for taking notes. I don't know why you need an app to type up May 1st, 2024. Went to pick up the kids. Mother flipped me off. See picture number 1. And you got a picture or a video corresponding to that. That pretty much tells you your whole story, and you put that together, and that'll help you get ready for trial. And when you're on the stand, you can read your diary, and basically you have a script there. When you're not allowed to read from your notes, if you make it an exhibit, you can. I don't know why you need an app for that or an extra service, but she probably has some good stuff, like some other people have some good stuff. But here's what I don't think anybody is telling anybody out there. The real war, because you could have a great legal argument. You could have a great argument with facts and evidence, as you all know, and the court still rules in the other side's favor just because they're bigoted and just because they assume a mother should have custody or whatever they assume. You could have a great argument and file the paperwork and done it all right, and you still missed out on something else. You're not getting on the offensive, engaging in the war of attrition. 95% of court cases settle out of court. Most people don't win in a court hearing. It's a war of attrition. And people are not telling you that. And they say, oh, wait to do discovery down the road. Wait to do a deposition down the road. Don't get on the offensive. Don't talk bad about the person. All this stuff that exposes somebody early on and helps you get on the offensive and push back, which this is all about wearing somebody down. They're going to wear you down, or you wear them down to the point when you're negotiating or go to mediation, you have all the leverage, and you don't have to say, oh, please, will you please settle with me on, please give me every other weekend. I'm sick and tired of this supervised visitation. And then she's laughing at you and saying, I got him where I want him. He's worn down. He's beat down. And then you confess, I'm worn down and beat down and desperate. So then they're not going to offer you anything because you don't even know how to bluff or play the cards or use some damn freaking common sense that when you concede, you're winning and destroying me. I'm desperate. Please give me more time. And she says, okay, I'll give you another 30 minutes of supervised visitation. Ha ha ha. Because you just showed your cards. You don't have any leverage because you haven't got any offensive. She thinks you're a punk. She thinks you're an easy target. She's going to run you over and roll over you and screw you over. This is what people are not talking about. And people who have gone to court, like the lady with the Family Court Corner, or, attorneys or other advocates, they think you better be polite because we're intimidated by the judge because we're a bunch of pussy, sissy cowards, and you can't talk bad about a judge. And you can't tell a judge that they could be wrong, and you go in there bowing to them like the Wizard of Oz or something. You have to engage in all aspects of war. You don't go in to the desert in Operation Shock and Awe. Like when we went into Iraq, we went in there with all the whole arsenal and just walked in, and there's a lot of political stuff that comes with it. And I'm not saying whether war was good or bad or whatever, because most of it's bullcrap. But we don't need to get into that. But the main point, we went in, and Saddam's statue was being torn down like 10 days, right? Or a week or something. I can't remember exactly. We went in with shock and awe. We had all the weapons. We had all the arsenal. Probably gave him a chance. You want to surrender? Saddam said, F you, and then went to war and destroyed him. We didn't go tiptoeing through the tulips and dancing around and like, okay, I don't want to bomb him or hurt him. It was war. And you have to treat the war like the war that it is. And it's a war of attrition. So this is one thing that I don't think anybody is talking about, because everybody's like, you got to look good in court. You got to do that. Where do you get the idea you got to look good in court? How many times do you have somebody go in court and they looked good and they got totally creamed? Where are you getting this idea from? Where in the law does it say the person who looks best in court or looks good in court, who's dressed best or is nice and said, yes, sir, no, sir, more wins? It doesn't say that. You should read the law and the legal authorities for what they are. Don't add to it. Everybody wants to add some stupid ass bullshit to this. Oh, if you go in there and talk to the judges, does it say anything about the way you talk to the judge in the law? Does it say you lose your parental rights if you tell a judge you're wrong? Here's what I would actually do nowadays. I would, in my opening brief, this court has a history of atrocities. I'm doing a video on corrupt judges stuff. This court has a history of judges who were sexually deviant perverts and pedophile. Like in Washington, we have a judge. He was raping juvenile delinquents that were in his courthouse. I guess he would give them probation to have to like do lawn care at his mansion or something. Somehow he got a hold of the kids that were in his own juvenile courtroom. And he was raping them, among other kids. And the news came out with a story. They're about to come out with a story, and he heard about that, so he shot himself in chambers at the courthouse on the job, on the clock. So I would be saying this courthouse has a history of corruption and rogue judges who commit corrupt things. This court system in America in general has a history of bigotry toward women, toward people of color, toward black people, toward Native Americans, toward Japanese citizens. And nowadays it's very clear, and countless judges and attorneys admit that there's dysfunction and corruption in the family court system. Given that, this court should start changing the protocol and changing the prejudice and get over the bigotry. We're supposed to be all-inclusive. We're supposed to be tolerant. All this politically, bullcrap, politically correct bullcrap. We're supposed to be diverse. So kids need both parents. Both parents are equal. Why don't they get equal time? There's no reason for parents not to have equal time with their kids. Yet the culture has said moms get custody and dads get every other weekend. Where does that come from? It comes from the tender years doctrine, which is outdated science, which is practically from the caveman days. It's from Europe in 1860, but it's outdated science. It's not modern psychology. That came from the time where they used to use leeches to make people bleed and do bloodletting to cure diseases. That's the period of time that they have the tender years doctrine, and they're still engaging in the tender years doctrine. It's kind of like engaging in Jim Crow South, separate but equal laws. I would tell that right off the bat. All that being said, the court should stop this next trend of bigotry here and now. You're not saying anything that's not true. You would have, why would you not do something like that? I'm not telling you got to do that. I would do that, because then everybody talks shit outside of court. The court's bigoted, the court's biased, and nobody goes into court and say you need to do something about this problem. Nobody's addressing it. And if you say historically accurate what people say, there's documentaries about it. It's well known and well established that the criminal justice system is corrupt. There's an overpopulation of Hispanics and black youth in prison. They have the high school to jail pipeline that they talk about also. So there's well-established, pretty much factual documentaries and judges and lawyers and people in the system saying that it's corrupt. So why would you not say that? You'd have to be a pussy-ass bitch coward to not say that. What are you afraid of? When I worked at McKinley Irvin, there's like 30 attorneys. There's probably 20 at that time. They got like 30 or 40 now. They would walk around in the hallways around the water cooler and say, man, I had this hearing and it was so corrupt and it was so crazy. If the dad would have done that, he would have totally got in trouble. The mother got away with murder. And never once would those punk-ass mother effers ever go to court and say, this court is corrupt. It needs to stop now, starting with this case. Let's make a turnaround for the sake of the children. I would be saying that in the brief of my paperwork. I actually had, the short period of time I had an attorney when I went back to court for a relocation case of modification. My attorney was saying, we're going over questions for trial because I was scared to go to trial. Now I know I could easily do my own trial. I didn't know that then. It was the third year into my court case. My daughter was 3. He said, you know what? I'm going to ask you this question. You should say on the stand, I've dealt with some bigotry and misandry and bigotry toward me as a man. I really hope that there's no such prejudice in this courtroom, and you should turn and look at the judge and say that. I had an attorney who actually had balls to say that. That's probably the only attorney I've ever heard who was willing to talk about that. And he wanted to just drop a hint. Why not tell the court you have this actual history? Why pretend that there's an elephant in the room? Then this is the other thing why people hate me, is because I'm not fake and phony, and I don't want to do the fake phony bullshit. Call stuff out for what it is. That's what I